It is 2 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. My name is Lansbury. I'm filling in for Lisa Louch this afternoon just to get things going. Your presenters today are going to be Phyllis Seeley from the Owasso campus, Heather Capote Powell from the Allen Park campus. They're both IESs, and they're going to be presenting classroom management faculty PD for us today. A couple reminders as we get going. Please, if you can, mute your phone on our end. It allows you to still hear what we're saying, but it does block out any of that background noise that may be going on in your office or wherever you may be. Also, please note, especially on campus, please don't put on hold while you're on this call. If you do, then the rest of us will be able to hear all of the Baker music while you have us on hold. So just a couple things to remember as we get going. Do we have any?
How do you mute the phone? You press number 6, or how do you mute the phone?
It's *6.
*6? No, I think so.
Ours are just
on our phones, but I think it's another way you can mute it too.
And
yeah,
we're having some problems here.
the bucket turned to Patty Barrett.
I want to do that. I can fix that.
What happened?
Don't worry.
I can't on the screen though either. Oh, okay.
We're getting that.
I'm not sure how that happened.
Bingo.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions or having issues with their connection?
I do.
Okay, then I think I will pass it to Phyllis and Heather and let them get going.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Anne, for that introduction. My name is Phyllis Seeley, and I'm very happy to be here today to have a conversation with everyone about the topic of classroom management.
Thank you so much for joining us. We know your time's so valuable. This is Heather. Phyllis and I want to let you know that we do realize that classroom management is such a very large topic. We could literally
absolutely
talk for hours about it. But we're hoping to have a very focused conversation today and hoping that you'll kind of join us in creating some good discussion.
And another thing, too, at times during our presentation, Heather and I will be asking you to use the chat function. And if you would, that is, if you have comments or if you have some, questions you might want to ask or answer. So right now, if you would all just click on that chat function and maybe tell us who you are and from what campus you're from. And maybe you're doing that, I can talk to you a little bit about some of our resources, some of the research that we're involved with as far as this topic is concerned. Much of our information came from Harry and Rosemary Wong, First Days of School, as well as the Baker College ET&L website. We have resources as well, but these are the 2 main resources. And at the end of the session, if you are interested in getting with this material, please just contact us. Our contact information will be available at the end of this WebEx.
A couple reminders regarding the chat feature. Make sure that in the little send to box that you're not just sending to the host, because that would just be going to Lisa Louch, or actually it's Ann on the other end there. So make sure you're sent out to everyone. Okay, starting to see some responses there. Excellent. And would you mind helping us a little bit monitor that chat feature?
Ann?
I will for sure.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So with ball rolling today with the objectives, as you can see here for this particular session. And these objectives of mine learn to the tone and framework, actually, of this discussion. And really today, we want to keep our focus on prevention. You've probably heard before the old adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And boy, is that true in terms of classroom management. Phyllis and I would like to propose that this be an ongoing session, perhaps maybe 2 or 3 sessions.
Absolutely.
There's just so many facets of class management. Keep in mind, today we will be focusing on prevention. So that's really our focus today, and we're going to try and stay within certain boundaries. We'll probably off topic a bit, but keep in mind.
Whether it's your first year of teaching or your 31st year of teaching, as teachers, we spend countless hours researching, designing our lesson plans, maybe creating different classroom or course materials. We go to the library, we scour resources, we review the textbook, and we concentrate on, what's the best way to present the content for this quarter? And unfortunately, and I put myself in this situation as well, some of us fail to prepare maybe for the very key facet of teaching, that being classroom management.
Right.
Classroom management, as all of our resources have said, and through our experience personally, is probably the single most critical issue instructors should focus on. Because, Heather, if you don't have solid management in place in your classroom, all countless hours of preparation can unravel in a moment's notice.
So true. That is so true. Let's get the ball rolling with the question out to our audience. As you can see, my question for you right there. If you had to define it, you had to give a definition. How would you state that definition? Give you a moment. You can write in our chat function right there. Like quite a few participants out there. If you don't feel real comfortable with the chat feature, feel free to mute yourself. Tell us, what would be your definition, or how would you describe classroom management?
Maybe while you're still thinking, I might just mention things. The first of the quarter is probably the most important day of the quarter. Effective classroom management practices must begin on that very first day of the quarter, and we as instructors must be ready. For example, a very successful restaurant is ready. The table is set, waiting for your arrival at the reservation time. The atmosphere in the restaurant is conducive to a pleasant dining experience. The staff is ready. You can expect to find fine services. The staff has high expectations that you're going to really enjoy your dinner. A teacher, likewise, is ready. Desks, the books, the papers, assignments, materials are all ready when class begins. The classroom has a very positive climate. It is work-oriented. The teacher is ready. He or she has a warm, positive attitude, positive expectations that all the students will succeed. Effective teachers have their classrooms ready every single day, especially that very first day. It's like walking into a restaurant, a department store, an office. We expect it to be ready for us. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I get a little upset when things are not ready, when there isn't anybody to help me with something, maybe if I'm looking for something in a department store. Likewise, I think that students into their classrooms that very first day, and is for that or every day, if they expect to find the teacher and the classroom ready for them.
Yeah, Phyllis, I'm going to turn to our definition. And I was just reading through the chat here, and there's some excellent, you really defined it really very well. If at our little definite here from Harry and Rosemary, of course, you can see that students, space, time, materials, content, all of those things are included. Many of the very things that you mentioned in the chat. So that's a lot, and those are all the features to try to keep in mind and to try to prepare for.
You know, to the painter, to the pilot, to the chef, their three most important words are preparation, preparation, preparation.
Right.
And, you know, Heather, what do you think the three most important words for the teacher should be?
It's preparation, and not location.
Oh, and that is so, it is imperative, I think, I believe, that teachers have things ready and inviting before students come in on that first day there.
Sure. Now, some of you may be thinking, you know, really, honestly, I'm dealing with college students. These are adults. I really have to be concerned with this, but what? The answer is yes. You know, we really do. Classroom management does equal structure. We already know with adult students, they are typically very goal-oriented. They expect to have structure. Just like you were saying, piggybacking on what you were saying with a restaurant, when you come in, you expect, you know, a certain level of service. And I hear adult students look for the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're looking for that preparation, that relevant classroom experience. They're looking for the instructor to maximize the classroom time. They don't want their time wasted.
Exactly, right. They want it to be relevant and to see some organization and preparation, I think is important for them. You know, as far as maybe looking at that structure and thinking, geez, you know, this is maybe college level, should we all, you know that? Should that all be
Right.
Evident? But I think sometimes we forget about today. Today, our classrooms are undergoing some very rapid and significant changes. So forces, like maybe never before,
Sure.
have converged in such a way that in order for teachers to remain current and effective, major adjustments in how they manage their classrooms must be a priority. When I think of social forces, I'm talking about the diversity, for example, in the classrooms, and I'm sure all of you instructors are knowing that, definitely. You have all, you know, type cultures, you have different students with different learning styles, special needs, you have
Experience levels,
age levels,
technology abilities with technology, and it's very diverse.
You know, even, and I'm sure some of you might nod your head yes to this, you know, you have students in your classrooms who lack basic social and character skills. They just don't have them, and that is one of those social forces I'm talking about. And so, you know, the 21st century employers are looking for employees who have a level of cooperation. They're looking for students or employees, I should say, that are having some skills in problem solving or self-directedness. And I think this is something that, as teachers, we do. We have to prepare our students with these valuable skills. And in fact, our mission here at Baker College demands that. Paraphrase that we are to provide quality higher education and training that enables graduates to be successful. And and in order to do that, certainly those skills in classroom management must be in place.
Yeah, at the same time, you're pushing content and you're working with content, you're also working with generating, modeling, all those soft skills that are so needed. We have kind of a diagram that we thought was very helpful and important for folks to think about. When you're the instructor, you want to think about the organization you're teaching for. When you're thinking about Baker College, you want to think about, okay, again, what's that mission statement? How does that play out in my classroom management structure for the course? How does the needs of this discipline and this professional field fit in to the way that I've structured classroom management in my course? So you got to think about the culture of your discipline. How developing those processes? Who's your audience? What are you trying to mold and develop in terms of your students to fit into that discipline in the professional working field?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So thinking about classroom management, you want to think about all those things, and you get to design that. And I think that's important. You are, in a sense, earlier we were talking about, you and I would never come to the classroom in jeans and a T-shirt.
Right, that's right, never.
And the reason why is, of course, we work for career college, and we're preparing people for the workplace. So, those are good things to think about when you're thinking about your own classroom management style. Okay, so along with all these very important variables, it's also necessary to kind of think about, what about theories, management theories and models and so forth. And I think it would make sense if you're interested, and maybe some of you will have a teaching background or you're interested in these types of model theories and research, and looking at some to see where you fit in or where some of these theories fit in with you. See, I've mentioned some here in this particular slide. A lot of this research been in the 1970s, and honestly, mostly it was done in K-12 environment. I think most recently, we've heard a lot about the introvert, extrovert management styles and being inclusive.
Right. A lot of discussion within college level has been lately, the theory in that area.
Yeah. So it's just the importance of choosing a management style that closely relates to you and your own personality. The big word here is develop it before getting into the classroom.
Right.
So you don't want to get caught kind of already in the classroom and then things arise and you haven't kind of done that, going to that preparation, prevention type thinking.
So perhaps the goal here, the ultimate goal, as you can see on here, is to build an effective learning community. And referring back with Mary and Rosemary Wong, their book, First Days of School, they highlight two things teachers must do to build this effective learning community. And the first thing they said is that we as instructors need to foster, encourage involvement and cooperation in all of our activities, all classroom activities that we present. And the question that I might present to our audience here is, and you're doing it. Maybe you could share with us what are you doing in your classroom to promote or encourage students to become involved, to be cooperative in different classroom activities that you've created or presented to them. So if you want to just, a few ideas you have, ways that you are involving your students, that would be great for us all to share and kind of be paying attention to that as well.
This goal of building an effective learning community is, it's the best thing that can possibly happen in your classroom if you can get it cooking.
That's right. Right.
And because we only have these 10-week sessions, we don't have an awful lot of time. We have to kind of get right down to business in establishing some rapport with our students and building some relationships very quickly. And if you don't have that prior preparation, you're not going to be able to jump in with 2 feet and build those relationships that you really need to get things cooking in such a short time. I often think about, instead of thinking 10 weeks, think 8. And half.
Right. That's right.
To be on the safe side, and really, because it goes by so quickly.
Exactly. So, what are some activities you planned for some of your classroom? We got there.
Good suggestions for definitions here. I'm saying, and for the audience, is adaptive. That's for...
You know, some of our, the earlier comments were things like participating in group work, which I'm sure that, you know, many of you do. That sometimes we'll get those introverts a little more involved if they're working with a small group as opposed to, you know, the entire classroom. What did you see something?
Yeah, there's some good suggestions. You know, put them in the hot seat. In other words, instead of the instructor maybe giving up all the examples, really get them in the hot seat. Let them come up with examples. And them to discuss personal experiences relating to the course material. Right.
Great.
So you get a sense of their frame of reference. Be a modeler. So the work ethic. The environment is friendly, positive, comfortable, task-oriented.
Right. You know, that just leads me right into that second goal that Harry and Rosemary Wong have indicated, that not only do we have to foster student involvement in activities, but we also have to establish a productive working environment, or never happen.
Sure.
And this comment here that was just up on the chat was exactly the second thing that teachers need to do, and that is to have the environment that is conducive to learning. And I think it's important, and you're probably going to hear Heather and I say this over and over, early on, first day of class, you need to establish your classroom rules and procedures and routines,
Right.
so that that environment can be conducive to learning. You want students to be attentive. You need to let them know that that is one of the procedures of your classroom. And you want students to be active in their discussions, in their contributions. Well, a rule or procedure be to mention that in this classroom, I want students to be cooperative. I want us to be respectful of each other. And these are ways that we set the stage, so to speak, or to allow the environment to conducive for learning.
Okay, can I ask Lyle Tucker, I see here, you say that you show demo reels. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Lyle Tucker, as I like to also show previous students demo reels and what they are doing now. Can you tell us a little bit about that? It sounds interesting.
Mute.
Okay, don't.
I'll put you on the spot, okay?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd show my students reels when I had them as students, like their senior year, and then I keep in touch with my students after they graduate. A lot of them have gone on to do really cool stuff, like work on Halo or Batman or something like that. And so I'll show their student reel, and then I'll show what they're doing now and tell them, like, when I met them, they were just working at Best Buy or wherever, or for Comcast or whatever, and, you know, after school, this is what they're doing. And that's kind of a life example of what could any student.
I love the fact that that creates a sense of rigor and relevance, too, to what you're doing. I think it provides a little bit of tension, and your expectation a little bit, maybe a little higher than they realize when they see that.
Right.
I like this, too, for Mary. So that students look for information on the internet about topics they're covering. Can you share with us about Mary? That could be like at the beginning of class, perhaps, maybe like a current event relating to the topic, perhaps. If you're trying to talk to us, you just need to unmute.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Thank you again, everyone, for your contributions. They're very, very helpful, and I think too, that we can share some of those ideas of how to make the environment conducive to learning. I mean, you know, it could be something, Heather, as simple as standing outside your door, right by your door, and just welcoming students in.
Yeah.
See more and more teachers doing that, instructors doing that here at, college level. It really kind of sets the stage of this, environment that's going to be welcoming and to be a threatening environment for you.
Now, Phyllis, some people might be saying, well, that's great, but I'm flying in from my full-time job.
Yeah.
I'm getting there at the last possible second. I'm trying to get set up my terminal, and that's true. I think that's the reality for many of our instructors. But do keep in mind, you can always set up something for them to be doing while you're quickly setting up, and have that, have that procedure in place.
That's how exactly what to do when they get into the classroom.
Right. And then as soon as you're done setting up, then you can get out there while they're working on, I call it bell work, immediate, what can I do work as they enter the classroom. Then the instructor can go around and kind of be personable for a minute or two. And how are you doing? I saw your email and all that kind of stuff, where you're kind of still fostering that relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to overplay this, but another little thing that we might do is to make sure that the furniture is arranged for productive work.
Right.
And sometimes we can't arrange furniture that's bolted to the ground, or to the floor. But if you can, sometimes just have students chairs around, face each other, because you can get a lot more, the face-to-face conversation started, and if you that's maybe another little hint. So, and on that first day of class, it's important that the effective teachers really pay attention to those rules, procedures, and routines. Help students develop these habit patterns. If we don't do this, if we don't develop those rules or work on those rules and routines and procedures in your classroom, students develop their own, and they'll have their own rules, and it may not be something that you particularly like. I was reading somewhere too, probably with Harry Wong again, but there was a quote saying, "If you do not have a plan, you are planning to fail," and I think that's that's saying it pretty quickly.
I think that only has to happen to you once as an instructor, and I can see, I know this happened to me as a new instructor, where I may have even had somebody sort of take over, and I was caught unawares, because, just not thinking about possibilities that might spring up, not thinking about the importance of engagement as much as I should have. So even if we can all agree that this is the ultimate goal, that we need to build this effective learning community to have good classroom management, there's a lot of ways to reach that goal.
But maybe one thing I'd like to just kind of present to all of us, and maybe to you too as well, Heather, if we have opportunity to walk down a corridor of one of our classroom buildings, and if you could peek into a classroom, let's say you're going to peek into a classroom that has, very effective classroom management happening, what would it look like? What could you be observing, do you think? I can put that to our audience. Any thoughts on that, anybody? What are some characteristics, maybe that's the word I want, of that classroom that somebody has told you, boy, classroom management in that classroom. So what would we see?
What would we see? I can tell you this, Phil, if everyone's thinking and typing in their answer, used to be, that if you were walking down that hallway, boy, you better see silent classrooms, and you had better see, everybody with their nose in a book, and, and that was what was considered, right? I mean, that was kind of our old definition. It's almost like when you walk into libraries now, they're not really quiet. They're places of things happening, activity.
Yeah. Are we getting something? I can hear some typing.
Oh, yes, we have.
Oh, great.
Attentive, engaged students. Yeah, people engaged in discussions, social learning. We know that that's how learning occurs, through social interaction. Right. Excellent. Yeah, who were we quoting earlier? The one who does the work does the learning. That's Terry Doyle.
Terry Doyle.
Terry Doyle.
Yep.
The one who does the work does the learning, and we know that, right?
Right.
Well-managed classroom, that's, you should see the students actively engaged, either in small group work, I see here.
High energy, that's great.
Yeah.
Super. So, I think they've kind of...
I like this is from an earlier question, but plan the work, and work the plan, and that phrase the instructional designers learn early on, how true.
Right. Exactly.
Very good.
So, hey, to hear some movement and laughter and noise and see students out of their seats, see them, you know, and maybe some high-level thought or discovery.
They go in tasks. Don't want to give out the impression that, hey, you know, a chaotic room, you know, people swinging for chandeliers is acceptable, but but I think it's focused and yet social at the same time, and that's good.
And it's a thing. I mean, you've established this early on again, your expectations for classroom. Students know what's expected. It isn't just that the teacher knows what the plan is. The students know. They know they are goal-oriented. They know what needs to be done.
Right.
And what to do in order to get it done.
You know where I've fallen short in the past is, let's say I get everybody going in small groups. I give them a problem to solve or what have you. I say, okay, you know, you got 5 minutes, go. But the piece that I forgot was to help them structure that report out or that product. Mm-hmm. And those are the times when I think I've been most disappointed. I'll be disappointed myself because I didn't give them any structure on the product I wanted to see after the discussion time. So something else to think about is, great, you planned it great, but did you plan it all the way through to what you wanted to see in the report out after those group sessions? Well,
the teacher still has to be, you know, always the person in charge. They have to be the one that's facilitating, that's sending those encouraging methods or thought processes of reminding students of the goals and the responsibilities, and you know, reminding them of fantastic. But you can hear some characteristics of well-managed, and I think we probably covered every one of them.
Yeah.
With all of your help. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, perhaps there's even a little bit more simplistic way to consider the responsibilities of well-managed classroom. We can divvy it up between students and teachers. We do see students that are deeply involved, students that absolutely know and can voice in their own words what the expectations are for that classroom, that they know that they can be successful and feel comfortable with that. Ultimately, of course, it falls on the teacher. Yep. Yeah, so that's back to that time management again. Make sure those expectations are very clear and being conscious of that good classroom vibe, you know, the climate in your classroom. What is the climate? Have you ever thought to yourself, what is the climate in my classroom? And it helps sometimes to step out of your own shoes to take a look at that.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think that's so important. Okay, so we get another question for you that leads just from what we were just saying, and that's for you to do exactly that. You know, ask yourself, what are your students actually doing in class? You see here we have pictures. We have one, you know, very involved. They're in there, totally engaged. This is probably the best definition of LCA, right? Everybody's hands-on. Right. Focus, on task. The other picture reminds me in one of my lecture
classes. Right. I don't know, speaking for myself, maybe. I've seen probably examples of both in classrooms.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
I think it's important to do some self-assessment, to step back occasionally, to take a look at your classroom.
It's not to say, I don't ever want anybody to get the idea like, oh, you know, you should never lecture, because that is not true. No. That's not the case. But I think you're going to avoid classroom issues, problems, the more engaged you plan for engagement, you're going to plan for success. Right.
So, you know, just consider environment, look at what's happening out there with your students. certainly it's important to get that lesson planned and to create your worksheets or look at, find your videos, whatever you might need. But do forget that those processes that must go into how you're going to manage your classroom. And, we talked earlier as a summary, we want students to be attentive, to be cooperative, we want them to be on task, to be ready, to be organized. We want our furniture where it needs to be, and all this will lead to hopefully some productive work.
I think this is probably harder for a newer instructor. One thing that has helped me in the past is to really try to see what's going to happen, see what my plans actually, create a little movie in my head. How's this really going to play out when I'm actually in the classroom with the students? How does this lesson look? And do I see my students being able to engage? Mm-hmm. It's back to that furniture setup. Do I need to move the tables and chairs around? Yeah. Should we be in a horseshoe? Do I want them writing on the boards? Are they going to be standing, sitting? Mm-hmm. And try to play out in your mind, and sometimes just visualizing in that way is a huge help.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Considering everything that your lesson planning, those LOs, the structure of your lesson, what activities are you planning? That's very, very important for developing your classroom management. It's important to, we can't say this enough, to do the preparing. Found this something the 7 P's, and we'll bring this up again near the end, but I thought it was really good. It's a tongue twister, but it's prior preparation prevents pathetically poor performance.
Again.
Yeah. I'm not going to do it again. Uploaded on our own ETNL website. Always be mindful of the fact that we have been charged as instructors here at Baker College with those responsibilities, being prepared so that we can offer the students, the very best chance for success.
Phyllis, I think that's a good metaphor for life, actually. Proper preparation prevents technically poor performance.
See, she can do it. That's good.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we do have from Effective Management of the College Classroom, right from our own website, Effective Teaching and Learning, we charged with responsibilities. And you can see there, obviously we've got the class session, the planning, and the pacing. Pacing is so important. Maybe that's something we don't realize that we need to focus in on, that pacing is so important. I'm looking through here. Let me ask out to our audience again, where do you think, when you look at these 4 bullet points, where do you see that you're the strongest or the weakest? Can you give us a little feedback? Let's see here.
Got anything?
Let's see, we got something. Let's see, somebody wrote a lot here. Let's see. Look at Lyle Tucker. I got to list this. I worked at a prison for my first teaching job, typing and MS Office. They told me the first day an inmate would stand up and try to be disruptive, and sure enough, one did. I made that student my helper. Excellent. And we became friends. Wow. I find at Baker, I'm scrolling down here, the students have been tougher in other classes and they have formed groups like the inmates did. And sometimes the first day is similar, and how I handled it is the same I did in prison. Wow, we
have made them feeling really part of the whole of that experience in that classroom. That's great.
Suddenly that person who might be disruptive is now kind of like your helper. He's involved. There's
right.
not autonomy. It's very inclusive, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
That's excellent.
Great.
And what's scary about that? I just want to throw this in here. Lyle, feel free to unmute yourself. I was going to say is sometimes scary about a situation like that is that those folks who maybe were on the fence that are surrounding that student might notice some negative behavior and they decide to join it, and suddenly,
Right.
you got a real problem on your hands. So I think that's an excellent way to handle that. Anything from Lyle? Let's see. Julie Turk says her strongest point would be planning activities, but she needs more help with pacing, sometimes in math. Oh, I think that's very challenging.
Pacing is also, is it Julie?
Yeah, Julie.
Julie, that's also probably one of my weaker areas. It's difficult. Lots of planning I need. Thinking about that.
Oh, Cindy and Geeson reminds us also about timely feedback and how important that is in constructing a strong environment in your classroom. If you don't have timely feedback, they have no idea where they stand with you on any level.
Right.
Right. That's excellent. Thank you, Cindy, for reminding us. Yeah.
Love that. Okay.
So even with the best practices in place and along with all the best interventions, we do know that
discipline will still occur. We do not have the magic pill or the magic potion here to say if you do A, B, and C,
right,
you will not have any discipline problems. Unfortunately, that's not the case. In this research by Braden and Smith, they're recommending a 3-step response. Now, I'm sure other researchers have done about the same. Maybe there's just 4 steps or whatever. But this one, we were with you, and they're really stressing, first of all, you identify the problem. If you go on to the next slide, you'll see that there are, maybe, I don't know, they're saying that there's 6 stories that you want to think about. To maybe first of all, the environment is different from the high school environment, and some students that we get in our classrooms actually resist learning, and I'm sure that's not a aha moment, but it is.
It happens.
It happens.
It
yes.
happens.
And we probably all experienced that student who just doesn't want to learn, and maybe just doesn't even want to be there.
It's surprising in a college classroom because I don't think we expect it, especially when we're new at the college level, teaching level. It's shocking to us. Like, wow, someone really doesn't even want to be here.
Right. Because we're saying, well, it's not a law that you have to go to college.
Yeah.
Yet, I suppose in some instances, students are maybe if they're traditional students, it's something that parents wanted them to do.
Yeah.
And so, they may have been totally sold on it. Maybe somebody's lost a job and they need to find a new career path. And so, in their wildest dreams that they think they're back in the college classroom again. So, as the slide indicates, we have 6 categories here, according to these researchers, that, maybe you've got the disinterested student that's just bored. Or maybe you've got an insubordinate student, one that's challenging you, your authority, challenging the assignments that you made, perhaps they're even a little bit aggressive. It's important that if these behaviors are not addressed properly, they'll may seriously affect your teaching and what you're teaching, but they can lead to many other problems. If you're looking at a student who maybe is just talking a lot, just chatting, or maybe they're on their cell phone, maybe they're sleeping, that student is probably the disruptive student would be that one. And we get it was the problem certainly, but it's probably not as maybe serious as the distressed student. That is the one that's got some neurological problems. The insubordinate student, that's one too that we, let that kind of behavior continue, because, it does create other problems. And for one thing, if you don't take care of it, others may join in. And I'm sure, I don't know, I've seen it happen in my classroom. if you don't handle the problems, you don't take care of the problem, you become just exhausted. I don't know.
Did you have something to share? Did you have something to share?
Maybe I didn't see it fast enough.
He gave up on us.
He gave up. But it also affects the rest of the students in the classroom if you have a behavioral problem and you're not addressing it. They may just drop the class. Students may think, well, this is a waste of time. I'm not going to be in here anymore. Again, those are some things that we need to think about. The second thing that they wanted to think about, Heather, was ascertain a cause. Like, why is this happening?
Yeah, and I feel like this is an area where I could more work in that I don't always think about that. Like, what's the cause of it? And then can I be part of the solution instead of adding to the problem? And so thinking about maybe that students got certain life distractions. Do I need to make a notice of concern? And when is that appropriate? And is that going to actually be helpful to that particular student? I mean, you never want to, enter somebody in their personal life, but I mean, maybe there's a time where that person's really struggling. They need resources, and they're kind of acting out in your classroom, and the reason why is they simply need some help. And what are the ways that you be part of that solution?
Absolutely.
Looking
Yep.
for that.
Yep. It may, like we say, it could be a chronic attention. It's negative attention certainly, but at least they've got attention. So
one way I've noticed that I think as a younger teacher and a newer teacher, I would have those knee-jerk reactions, and maybe my sarcastic self would come out.
Right.
But I've learned to even take sarcastic comments almost pretty seriously in the class, and then address them as if they were real comments, and not in a very sincere manner, and to actually entertain any of the feedback that I get from students, especially when it's kind of in the classroom and they're kind of on stage for the moment, but really honestly say, yeah, but really, here's what we're really trying to do, and I will mention, reaffirm what we're trying to do in that class period, and kind of bring everything back.
Right.
Somebody in the chat mentioned that they need help with pacing. One way I've learned to work with pacing is to think about what transitions do I use to get from one place to another as we move from maybe one facet of a lesson to the other, one whole lesson to another. What are the techniques that I'm using? Then I can start thinking about pacing, because that's the way that it starts to make sense. Or are you taking those students by the hand and leading them to the next place? Yeah.
Yep, good idea. Alrighty.
So we kind of think already started getting into this a little bit, but we know that there's going to be discipline problems even with adults. Yes, it's true. But again, we need to focus on that.
That's right.
Right, Phyllis?
Yeah, that's right. And again, it's being prepared. Students are well aware the unprepared instructor, and being prepared cause a lot of loss of respect. And this loss of respect for the instructor then naturally leads to disruptive behavior. So be aware of your weaknesses. If you know yourself that you need some help in one area or another, seek some training.
Examine your weakness.
That's right. Talk to your colleagues. Talk to your dean. Talk to the IES. There are many PDs, or Heather and I were talking just a while ago that oftentimes just visiting a colleague's classroom is very helpful. Just seeing how other people handle situations.
And then you can always tweak what you're doing and make it your own.
That's
bring it into your, how would that same technique be used, but kind of through your fingertips? How would that play out as you?
That's right.
And that can be very, very helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
Always, and we'll talk about this, I think maybe next slide or two, about providing students with guidelines. So they know up front what's going to happen, what are the consequences for disruption.
I noticed in the chat fear, somebody said, some people just cause problems to see what we'll do. And then they
That's
say,
an attention getter.
turn it into a learning opportunity, and isn't that a great idea? And some of those folks maybe had those same struggles in high school, and they wanted to be the class clown or be noticed for, and those habits are hard, you know, they really do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Pictured here some off-task and undesirable behaviors. What ones would you like to add? You can unmute yourself if you'd like to.
I know none of you have seen these undesirable behaviors, so, but they're happening, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, we do have, for these, while you're thinking, if there's anything you want to add, a list of don'ts that's been provided to us, again, right through our own website. You don't ignore what's going on. It might work.
It's not going to go away.
But it might work with younger folks, maybe in elementary school or so forth, but, you know, at level you don't want to. We don't have time to ignore either. We have such little
Absolutely.
time to everything we're supposed to do. You want to be not punishing everybody for one person's infraction. Sometimes private conversation will do wonders. So you see there's a whole list of different ideas there. For I know something that comes up campus every once in a while is the discussion of the dreaded, you know, cell phone.
Absolutely.
And I think that people have to be very mindful that your policies need to be defined, right, on your syllabus. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely, because, you know, that's the kind, that's, where it's hard for your dean or your supervisor to defend a rule or procedure if they can't find your syllabus.
It's hard for them to defend. Yeah, exactly. So on my syllabus, I have, you know, they're to be put away, what have you, unless they're going to be used in the classroom as a learning tool or resource.
That's right.
So otherwise, I have literally gone up to people and said, you know, if you've got a call or if you've got a text, I understand. Would you please take it in the hall? I completely understand. I have kids myself, so I get it. But I need you, and we need you, and your feedback is useful, and I just need you. I need you here with us.
Right.
And it usually works pretty well.
Right.
If you've got other ideas, you know, feel free to chat, to put it in the chat or to unmute yourself. Okay. And with that syllabus as a management tool, you can see that there's some suggestions here. Our new college instructors, and so it's a powerful tool.
Right.
Because even if you've got some type of argument going on, 9 out of 10, you can turn to the syllabus and say it's right here in writing. Yeah. So that's important. It's important that you post it in Blackboard. It's important that you address important features of your syllabus in the first class session, right? So, which, you know.
Yeah, and that whole part of setting up your expectations, the way the class is going to be run.
Right.
And so everybody has a clear idea of what's going on in your classroom.
Right. There's also some other things to consider here. See, there's some principles to follow when you're creating your personal system discipline. Some steps to consider as well. And we can sort this out with you if you like, if you want some more time to read and reflect on these as you consider your own classroom management style. What fits in with your personality? What have you read in the research that also appeals to you and your style? How you want to see your classroom, how you want that classroom to run. Okay? Obviously, when you are teaching for that quarter, continually review. That self-reflection is so important. Jot down those notes in your syllabus. What worked? What didn't? I literally said to myself, I will never again, you know, put up with X, Y, and Z, and then forgot to write. At the end of the term, I don't even remember what it was because I didn't write it down. Has that you?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this, you know, in stone. The very best syllabus that you think you've ever produced might not work very well in the next class.
You don't love doing syllabus is looking at other people's syllabus for the same class.
Sure.
And where their ideas. we're running out of time here, but we want to give you some other resources. So we tell you that you can look up faculty-focused articles right on our very own website, on our library resources. So I think we can show you that in just a moment. We also, if you go online, here, this is the screenshot of where you can find the Faculty Focus blog. So here you can view the website as well. Okay. The is through the Adult Learning Theory and then Internet Resources.
Baker.
And my Baker, yeah. Okay. Also, we want to show you, Van Giesen just said keeping a learning journal. Yeah, that's a wonderful tool. Also, we want to show you this. Is wonderful. Tracy Goodwin, she does not have a playlist that we could share out with you. But honestly, if you just go to Google and you can go Tracy Goodwin, Classroom Management, and these are all very short.
They're short, and you have to listen to a half hour just to get maybe a 2-minute.
Yeah, I mean, they're short, they're to the point, she's experienced, and she's also, very non-judgmental.
Wow. Great tips.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
We thought that was a good resource. So here too. We do remind you of a couple of things. We've got about 2 minutes left here.
Right.
Go ahead, Helen.
That's all right. But,
Yeah.
I think the thing, as this slide is saying, is that teaching is not easy, and I'm sure you're all very, very aware of that. It's so very important, and I always said this over and over, that if you prepare, chances are that your classroom will be very successful. I can't, 100% there, but it's so important to plan. Put in a great amount of time into what you do, and because the results are so much more enjoyable for you as an instructor.
Yeah, really, step one, again, we're going to mention it and emphasize it, is prevention. Okay, all about planning, procedures, and routines. Rules and routines. So I think that I'll just mention it more time. It's all about prevention. And that's our step one. So this is the video, right?
That's right.
That's the first webinar.
Yeah.
Planning, procedures, rules, and routines. So important. And we want to provide, you can see some references. Please contact us if you like those references. And here's our contact information. Probably gives us less than a minute. Does anybody have a burning question?
It's a huge topic, and I'm sure you're well aware of that, but we hope to have answered a few questions. If you have some questions for us, again, make sure that you email us or give a call. More than happy to share anything that we've come across, or maybe you've got some good resources for us as well.
Yes, we can share. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. We know how valuable it is, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.